Hi there. Hey, let's chat for a moment about railroads, since I'm actually sitting on one right now. Let's think about transportation over space and time. You know, transportation has changed over the centuries, right? For a while, canals were the big things, and then roads were the big things. Shipping has been important throughout the centuries. More recently, roadways and highways have been important. And so, when we think about transportation, we can think about it from a geographic perspective. The geographic perspective actually helps us to understand transportation. And there's just a couple of things we could talk about today, but we can I hope this sparks conversation in your classrooms for a whole lot more. So for example, one of the things you can think about is what communities actually connect this railroad. Why is this railroad where it is? Well, that's important. What kind of goods are transported along this railroad and why? Where does this railroad start? Where does it end? How long has it been here? What kind of materials have been used to build the railroad grade? Right? These railroads come at a cost. There's a lot of aggregate that needs to go into these railroad beds to, in this case, raise it above the level of the forest here around it. And then also this wood. Where did this wood come from? Well, trees had to be cut down. It had to be transported into this location. And then how much is expended every year to maintain this railroad? Okay. What about the following? Where do railroads connect globally? Do they connect ports? What kinds of resources are hauled on railroads versus trucks or by ship, and why? So the issue of scale, again, is a geographic, kind of a perspective on things, and so that's important as well. So what about railroads by day or by night? Are there more things that are transported by day or by night, or does it even matter? What about the speed? What about the gross tonnage that can be shipped on or transported on railroads every day or every year? How is all that determined? Who runs the railroad? Where are their headquarters? Why are their headquarters located where they are? What kinds of materials are transported along these things each day? And what effect do local conditions have on railroads? Can this operate, for example, in this vicinity here in Minnesota, can this railroad operate in the wintertime, or is there some sort of seasonal variation? So there's lots we can think about from a geographic perspective about railroads. And then globally, from a transportation issue, what kinds of goods get transported and why? What kinds of everyday things am I wearing, for example, actually were transported on railroads? And how about people? People are still traveling on railroads, not to the extent that they were a century ago, but where's that issue important? What about commuter rails and the movement in the last couple decades to get people off of highways and onto light rail? How is that shaping cities and where people live in cities related to these new light rail stations? So there's lots of stuff we can talk about, and all of it has to do with the geographic perspective, right? It has to do with space and time and location, and that all has a fundamental bearing on and is shaped by our understanding of geography and our use of the geographic perspective and our application of geographic skills. So let's talk more about railroads some other time, but I hope that sparks some conversation. Thanks.